everybody. This is 365 Days of Movie, a series where I rate my top 365 movies of all time. So, I'm going to release one video a day in which I talk about a movie on the list, and 1 year later we'll have an entire list that goes from 365 down to 1. If you have any opinions on the movies, let me know. I'd love to discuss it. Also, if you're interested in a deeper review of the movie, or maybe even a full video essay, the more interest I get in it, the more likely I am to do it. So I'd love to discuss this stuff with you in the comments. Comment below. Number 203, The Crow, rating 7.98. Released in 1994, directed by Alex Proyas, starring Brandon Lee, Ernie Hudson, and Michael Wincott. The night before his wedding, musician Eric Draven and his fiancée are brutally murdered by members of a violent inner-city gang. On the anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave and assumes the gothic mantle of the Crow, a supernatural avenger, tracking down the thugs responsible for the crimes and mercilessly murdering them. Eric eventually confronts head gangster Top Dollar to complete his macabre mission. This movie is great. It's such a great, gothy movie, and it's a great, I believe it's a comic book adaptation, so it's a great comic book movie, and it's sort of a different take, and it's not like a superhero movie. It's just sort of a mixture of a zombie slash horror movie with superhero type elements, and I've rewatched it again recently. I either watched it in my hometown theater that was like a small one-screen theater, or at my friend's house in his apartment in a small town, and in his living room. I can't remember where I first watched it. I recall watching it in theaters, but then I recall his house being the first time I saw it. So maybe I went and saw it in theaters after, and he had just rented it, and it was still in my hometown. Not really sure. But when I revisited this movie, I realized how they'd combined Batman and the Joker to make The Crow, or at least there's elements of both inside The Crow. And I guess other directors must have noticed that. I'm pretty sure, Nolan is one of those directors that noticed it, because there's a scene that involves a conference table and gangsters and the Crow, and it's very, very similar to the later scene in The Dark Knight that comes out in 2008, when the Joker arrives to deal with the gangsters in that movie. And I don't know, I can't see how the way that both scenes are shot, and the way that both scenes are set up, and what's going on in both scenes and the story of both scenes are so similar. I don't see them being independently conceived of. And I can't see that Nolan never watched The Crow, because it's an important movie. It's an influential movie. If in this day and age, maybe it's a little bit forgotten, it's still beloved by many, and I don't see how a director didn't see this movie, because of some of the things that were done in this were very important to filmmaking. So I'm pretty sure that these two scenes are reminiscent of each other, and the Dark Knight scene is meant to call back to The Crow and the aspects of Batman and Joker and The Crow. But beyond that, this movie is beautifully filmed, especially the darkness has so many different colors in it, and shades, I guess, but the way that black and white are used, as well as very washed out colors, is just amazing. The story is very simple, flows really well, and is a simple revenge tale, as well as the little girl that is friends with Brandon Lee's character, who herself has experienced things and has to deal with things, and She is the character that grows, and Brennan Lee not so much. And the final scenes, the ending, which I kind of had forgot about until I revisited it, it's a well done ending. It doesn't fizzle out and die like a lot of those movies could and do. It has still the same tense atmosphere that it did when you think the movie's over and you think that he's won, and it continues to go on to the church, and it's still good, and there's a finality to the movie. I just think it's such a well done movie that if you haven't heard of The Crow and you haven't checked out The Crow, then you definitely have to. Hey everybody, this has been 365 Days of Movies. We're going to keep plowing ahead. So let me know what you think of this movie, and if you want to discuss it further, comment below. If I get a lot of interest, I may very well make a full review of the movie, maybe even a video essay. So let me know what you think, and let's get to the next one.